Hi there. So in this video, we're going to talk about SEFI. It's going to be pretty basic, like what SEFI is, the different categories that there are in SEFI. For more in-depth, like how to create a SEFI playlist from scratch and things like that, I'll cover that in a separate video. So let's first talk about what's available in SEFI. At the moment of recording this, which is April 2024, there's a total of 1,250 different SEFI frequencies to choose from. So that's the SEFI library that we have access to. But many of those frequencies are actually a matrix of frequencies. So the actual number is much higher. But in terms of how many options you have, it's at the time it's 1,250. So the types of things that you can do with those frequencies, you could either broadcast them to a target, and the target is actually critical in SEFI because that's who's going to receive the frequencies. And distance is not a problem. Your target could be all the way across the earth. But as long as you have a profile or the target is entered in your AO scan, you could broadcast SEFI to this target. So that is pretty powerful thing, and it's sent instantly to a scalar wave. So it's pretty amazing. The different frequencies that we have access to, some of them are things that we want more of, like things like inner peace, confidence, abundance, success, wealth, things like that. And other types are to help with issues that we're experiencing, like the symptoms that we have, and things like that. So let's go look at the different categories that there is. Okay, I'll start with this one, quantum reach. This is a proprietary category that has been created by Solex, and there's 32 frequencies in that one. And this one is mostly for things that you want more of, to help with emotions and body functions. So one thing that you can do in some of the categories, and this is one example of it, is you could scan the target, the current target that is loaded. If I look at target here, SEFI target, it's me, the same as the profile at the top. But the target could also be a pet, or it could be anything that has been entered in spaces and objects. And in spaces and objects, you could enter a lot of things. It could be your home, a classroom, a whole town. It could be an actual object, like something that you've given to someone. Let's say you've given someone a bracelet and you imprinted the bracelet with something. Well, you want to be able to re-imprint the bracelet, because the imprint is not going to last forever. You could enter something like that in space as an object, and that becomes your target. And then you could send frequencies to re-imprint it from a distance. Like there's so many things. It could be a group of people, a group of animal. If you could think of something, you could probably create it in space as an object. So the target, you could scan the target. So I'm going to leave myself as the target here. I could scan to see what my body at this moment is asking for. And then I could imprint that, what comes like, so it's confidence, self-esteem, and love, always a good one. So from there, I could imprint. For imprinting, you do need to be able to put your device flat down. So I'm on my computer for demo purposes, but you would need some device that you could have flat down, and then you would place, let's say I want imprint and sugar pills. I would put my sugar pills here, hit imprint, and then it's going to imprint that one frequency. So I'm just going to show you a little bit like the different types of frequencies are in that category. It's a pretty good one. So let's look at the next one. Then you have quantum frequency. So that category is based on Rife frequencies. So they're modified Rife frequencies. There's 455 in that category. There's no scan option in this category. So this is based on symptoms or ailments, disease, and things like that you need help with. So if you're experiencing something, there's a pretty good chance. I'm not going to say that there's everything under the sun in this category, but there's a lot of things in that category that probably something that could help you with whatever it is that you're experiencing. I'm just scrolling fast here because I don't want this video to last too long, but that's the quantum frequency category. And okay, so I'll talk about the different options you have to broadcast. They're the same in all of the categories, pretty much. You could imprint. I just talked about that. It's going to imprint. In that case, when you imprint, it's going to imprint what you place on the device that you're using. That's the target. When you imprint, the target is what you place on the device. Then you could broadcast, like I mentioned before, and then the target is the target at the top here that I've already talked about. You could broadcast for just 2 minutes, or you could broadcast in continuous, meaning that you're going to decide when you end the broadcast. All right, let's look at the next category. Quantum affirmation. This is another category that is proprietary to that Solex created. There's 36 in this one, and it's the what's the official thing? Affirmative frequencies for balancing emotions. So that's what these are for. Like basically things that you want more of, but some of the frequencies are also supportive frequencies. So there's an option to scan in this category. The next one is chakras. It's the same 7 main chakras. And there is an option to scan in that one as well, to scan the target. And okay, the next one is probably my favorite in SEFI, or one of my favorites. This homeopathic section is absolutely amazing. At the time of recording this, there's a total of 442 homeopathic remedies, but they keep on adding new ones. So by the time you watch this, they're very well, maybe more than that. And what's really cool about it is that you don't need to know anything about homeopathy to be able to use this, because there's a search by symptom. If you know the homeopathic remedies that you need, you could just go and select one, pull it up, and then imprint or broadcast or do these options that I've already covered. Or you could search by symptom, and I'll show you how to use this search by symptom option. I think there's 485 different search terms. They're all in that drop down here. So you could scroll and find a symptom to search like this. But what I find more practical to do is to type up a search term. And to be able to enter a search term, you have to click on the magnifying glass first. And I'm going to clear. And then you could type something. So I'm going to type, let's say, pain. And then all the options with that word in them are going to populate, and then I could select one, and it's giving me the remedies that would work for that I just selected. Abdominal pain in this example. There's just 4 in this instance, but sometimes it could be like 20, even more than 20 options. So you could do a scan. And if I hit scan, it's going to reorder, like they're in alphabetical order right now. But if I hit scan, it's going to reorder, this time placing at the top the remedy from this list that the target is resonating with the most at that time in the order, and so on for the rest of the list. So that's pretty amazing. And from there, you could decide to imprint right there. But you could also use that information when you create a SEFI playlist, which I'll talk about in a moment. Because so far I've shown you how you could go in a category and then pick one frequency and broadcast that one frequency, or in this case, it could be more than one, because a homeopathic section is like a little bit of an exception here. But with SEFI playlist, you could combine from different categories and into a playlist. So that's the most popular way to broadcast frequencies or imprint frequencies. I'll talk about this in a moment. So let's continue talking about homeopathic here. So there's homeopathic remedies. There's 404 at this time. There's 404 homeopathic remedies per se, but there's also 12 cell salts. And cell salts are great to support your body's health and healing process by regulating your cells' mineral levels. So if you pick, there's 12 of them, you could pick one, and you could click on that icon here, the eye on the left side, and it's going to tell you what the cell salt helps with. The next category is nosodes. There's 26 nosodes, and these are from diseased tissues that could come from an animal or from a human, and they could help with whatever infectious disease that the tissue is from. They could help with that. And there's also that eye icon that you could click on. Well, you have to first select one, click, and if you want to know what this particular nosode helps with, then you have that information there. That is available for the nosodes and cell salts, but not for the rest of the homeopathic remedies. Okay, so the next section is energy Homeo-Energetix, and this one is a collection of detox frequencies and support frequencies. There's 51 of them at this time, and they are a combination of homeopathic frequencies and energetics frequencies. And this is also proprietary to Solex, like the mix that they came up with. And yeah, so that's for, I could show you a little bit the different types of things that you have. You have a lot of different detoxes. This is pretty amazing category. And this category too has this icon that you could click to learn more about what this particular frequency helps with. Okay, so that's for Homeo-Energetix. Then, oh, okay, I didn't cover the flowers yet. That's also, I love this category. This category, the quantum flowers, has the entire set of Bach flower essences and the entire set of Australian bush flower essences. So the two combined, there's 108 different flowers. There's different ways that you could access them. You could do a scan, like I talked about in some of the other categories that had that, where it's going to tell you at this time what the target is needing the most. So I could do that. So it tells me which flower it's selected and what it helps with. And then from here, I could go ahead and imprint. I cannot broadcast flowers from this screen, but to broadcast flowers, it's possible. You just need to do it through creating a SEFI playlist, which again, I'll cover in a moment. The other way is to select a flower is to select an emotion first. Let's say I feel like I have this emotion, I'm rigid, so I could select this emotion, and then from the different flowers that could help or that are associated with this emotion, it's going to select for me one of them. So this is another way to do a scan for which flower is best. All right, so the next one, SEFI dots. Another awesome module in SEFI is the SEFI dot. This one too, that you could do a scan to see what the target is needing most at this time. And I forgot to bring the SEFI dots with me. I'll cover this in an entirely separate video. Look in the description for a link to that other video that's just about SEFI dots. So it's picking like energetic balance. I could click on this icon to see what this helps with. This again is another category that's proprietary to Solex, that is created by the company. And what's special about the SEFI dots, that category, is that it tells you which placement is recommended for that particular frequency. Like if I pick something else, like sleep, it's an entirely different placement that are suggested. Basically, those dots are meant to be placed on a meridian, and you receive a slow drip of the frequencies that you selected over the course of 3 days, because it could be used for 3 days. So these frequencies were created to be paired with the SEFI dots, but it doesn't mean that you cannot imprint other things in SEFI dots, but I'll cover that in the SEFI dot video. So this category has 12 frequencies, and that's kind of an exception where they cannot be broadcasted to a target. They can only be imprinted in something. It doesn't have to be imprinted in a SEFI dot. You could imprint them in anything you want, but they cannot, at this time, they cannot be broadcasted. Okay, so next category, AO Tune, and that's the last category, and it's also the latest addition to the EOScan. And this category as well cannot be broadcasted at this time. It cannot be imprinted either. This category is meant to be listened to, and that is the exception because, okay, I forgot to mention this so far, but SEFI frequencies are not meant to be listened to. They are, you turn the volume all the way down when you're broadcasting them. You don't need to hear them, but AO tune frequencies are the exception. So what these are, they are the entire set of tuning forks that exist on the market are available in this module. You could reproduce any tuning fork that there is, and what you need is to get these little, they're called AO tune transducers, and what they do, they're like mini speakers, but they don't just play the frequencies for you to hear them. You could also feel, they vibrate. You could feel the vibration, and that's what would happen if you were to place, let's say I had shoulder pain and I was to use a weighted tuning fork and place it on my shoulder, I would feel the vibration. So this, you don't need to ever buy a tuning fork ever again. With just these in your EOScan subscription, you have all of the tuning forks. So they're pretty amazing. I absolutely love them. And this category also has a scan feature. You could scan the target to see what is needed at this time. So that's something I do every single day. And from there, you use it the same way that you would use tuning forks. There's two kinds of tuning forks. There's the unweighted tuning forks, and those are meant to be placed around an area. Like, let's say you could use it for a chakra tuning fork. Let's say for my heart chakra, I could typically just like move it around in the field. Okay, if I was using an unweighted tuning fork. But the weighted tuning fork are meant to be placed directly on the body. You could do either one. So you could really emulate any tuning fork that is in existence with this. So all you need to do is just select how long that you have the choice, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. And you pair your Bluetooth transducers with your device so that you could hear them and feel the frequency. And then when you do emit tone, it's going to come in those transducers. It's possible to use this even if you don't own the transducers. You're not going to have the same benefits because you're not going to have that vibrating effect, but you could totally still use them. You know, you could use it in with headphones or with the bone transducer headset, but obviously you're going to be limited in terms of placement. But the bone transducers, they have a little bit of that vibrating effect. So if it happens to work, let's say you have knee pain, you could place the bone transducer headset on either side of your knee and use one of the frequencies that are good for that, and it's going to work. But I do recommend getting those transducers. They are totally worth it. So you have different categories of tuning forks. Just like if you were to buy the tuning forks in here. There's 74 total, but some of them are repeats because they're the same frequency. The frequency of each of them is the number that you see here on the right. On this particular example, there's 2 numbers, but that's because this category is an exception, the binaural tones, because they're going to be a different frequency in each of the speakers, but those 2, they're the only ones that are like that. The rest, they are a single frequency. I'll just show you another one, like the planetary frequencies. You see here the hertz, what exact frequency that each of them is vibrating at. So I'm not going to cover everything about AO-Tune here in this particular video because I wanted to stay, not keep it short. But I just want to say one thing is the default, if you don't know where to use, like where to place your transducer for a frequency, a good default location, if you wish, is the sternum. Another one is the top of the head. And if you could also follow your intuition. If you have pain somewhere, it does make sense to place it where the pain is, but also just like follow your inner guidance. You probably don't realize that you know where it's best to place it, but you do know if you only go within and listen to your intuition about that. But if you want to learn more about it, Google is your friend. There's actually something important that I forgot to talk about, and it's erase and imprint, those options that you see here at the top of the SEFI module. And especially erase is really important. Whenever you imprint anything, you always have to make sure to first erase. And erase is not going to erase anything that's part of the object. Let's say I have a supplement that I'm taking. Let's say I have vitamin D, that I'm taking, and I want to imprint my vitamin D with more frequencies. If I erase my vitamins, it's not going to erase the vitamin D from it, but whatever it picked up, let's say things that it's exposed to, let's say I have it next to my phone and it picked up some EMF frequencies or radio frequencies or negative emotions, things like that. So it's always important to first erase and then imprint. And to do that, it's pretty simple. You just click that erase button. And again, it's something that you would do with a device that you have, and you place what you want to erase on a screen on the fractal image. Well, actually, the fire in this example, it's not a fractal image. And you hit start, and it's just going to take a few seconds, and you'll erase the frequencies. And little tip also about this erase button, you could even use it for pain. Like I've heard people talk about putting the erase frequency on a total location where they have pain, but repeatedly though, not just for 5 seconds, but repeatedly to kind of erase the pain. Apparently it works. I don't have any stories of my own about this, but I've heard more than one person talk about this, so it's worth knowing and trying if you ever feel the need. The next thing that I didn't talk about is imprint. Okay, and this is basically a copy function. And again, this is something that you would do with a device that you could lay flat, and at the bottom part is where you're going to imprint, you're going to place what you want to copy. Let's say I have my vitamins. I want to copy vitamin D in sugar pellets. Okay, I would place my target, the sugar pellets, at the top, what I want to copy at the bottom, and then I would press start. So I just want to say something though about what that does. It's not going to make my sugar pellet become the equivalent of vitamin D. It's not going to replace vitamin D. The reason why we would do something like that is because then when you have the frequency of something and then you take the actual thing, your body is going to recognize it and it's going to increase absorption of that very thing that you took the frequency version of prior. So do not think that you could just like replace, you could imprint, you could copy an apple, the frequencies from an apple with that imprint function, but you still need to eat the apple. All right, so now is the time to talk about playlists. Okay, that is the most popular way to use the frequency, is to go in custom playlists. You have the ability to create a list of frequencies for from all of the different categories except the AO tune, which I just talked about, and the SEFI dots. Those two categories, you cannot add them into a playlist, but everything else you can. And then you save your playlist, and then they're available for anybody else. If I create a playlist about abundance, like you have an example right here, then I could use that playlist for any profile that I create. It's attached to my OScan subscription. It's not attached to a profile. So that's really, really practical. And how you create a playlist, you simply click on the plus sign. You're going to be giving it a name. Let's say I'm calling this testing, and then you just go in each category and then you choose the frequencies that you want to add. And like I said, it's up to 15 categories. Then once you're done, you save, and then you have it available. And then from there, then you could broadcast or imprint. Okay, so for broadcasting, well, or imprinting, both of them, there's two ways. You could do it individually, meaning that each frequency will broadcast for the amount of time that's set here on the right. This example, they're all 30 seconds each. Or you could choose simultaneous, and then if you start the broadcast, they're going to play all at the same time. So in a different video, I'll cover how to create a SEFI playlist. I'll give you some tips how to speed things up when you create a SEFI playlist, when you already know what's going to go in the playlist. Let's say someone has shared a list with you and all you need to do is create it. I got some tips for you to speed things up. And I'll also talk about how to create a SEFI playlist from scratch. So this is going to be in the next video.